All right. Good night, everyone. We are here. We got a lot to talk about, a whole lot to talk about. So I'm just gonna get right to it. I'm gonna invite my guest on stage right now. Hey, what's up, man?
Hello, hello. How you doing?
I'm doing great right about now. How's everything, man? How's the past few days been for you? Because I know I haven't gotten any sleep.
I get some sleep, but it's busy. That's the best way to put it. It's a busy time.
Oh man, yeah, oh man, oh man. So listen, we're gonna get straight into it, right? Because the championships are underway and it is properly underway. We've seen some major events happening. We've seen we've seen some times, we've seen some distances, we've seen some everything. But before we get directly into it, sir, what's been your biggest surprise so far at the championships?
Yeah. Well, hey, before I go any further, appreciate you, inviting me on. Truly, always a pleasure. Anytime we get to talk about, these things and the championships haven't disappointed. I mean, you talk about the biggest surprise. I think. Well, we'll start with the men's 100 because Oblique pulled it out. I'm sure there'll be a lot more to discuss there going forward because it's to me it's not just a straightforward like conversation because it's one there's the victory, there's his narrative, there's what did it mean to Jamaica, what did it mean for the sport, um, and then I think there's so many different components because if it was going to be Jamaica 1-2, I think the general narrative in the streets was that Oblique was supposed to be the two.
Right.
So it's sort of like, well, what do we do with that information now that this is the world we're living in? I think there's two sides to it.
So for me, so far, I'm going to be honest with you. I had Oblique to win. I said that for weeks now. I've been on different shows and I've been saying Oblique will win, and I've been told Oblique is not a great performer, and I'm like, so I said it here on Sunday. I said it actually on race day on Sunday because I was there. I said I got a call, or well, I made a phone call in about May, the end of May thereabout, to a member of that coaching staff because here in Jamaica, I got a people who are a few fences, and they said to me, Oblique has a psychiatrist this year. I was like, okay, that's it. And when I looked at it, I mean, he ran 20.13 the first weekend in May. He ran 47 in March, 47 400 in March. And him not having injuries this year, I said, you know what? He's going to pull it out. And with the fact that I was told that he got mental help, I was like, the talent was already there. We knew the talent was there. That's a fact. But when he got that push and that move to say, you know what, we're working on the mental, that for me was when I said, this is it.
Hey, I mean, hey, I respect it. I respect it. I mean, he got the win, but I think the reality is like it's hard for me to not see the other side of the discussion, which is first put him on the board, gold medal, the time, the race. That's it's etched in stone. Everything around it, though, is well, what was the narrative before we got to this race? I'm gonna tell you what I heard a lot of for the last 2 years. I kept hearing Shane's shutting it down. He's preparing. He's saving himself. He can run all these crazy times. That's what I kept hearing. And because I kept hearing that narrative, although I didn't fully buy the hype, I was like, well, they keep saying it, so maybe they know something that I don't. So as a result, we were talked into this idea that these crazy facts, because see, I'm a competitor guy. I care more about the competition. So when I say Noah Lyles is going to win, as a pick, I'm not that emotionally invested in these races, to be honest. It's just entertainment. But just to clarify, I don't know why people think they don't get that part. But regardless, his from a competition standpoint, he had pulled it out 2 years in a row when there was a lot of things going against him. This year, the facts are that he probably had even more going against him. The injury that we didn't really see, but he just wasn't competing.
Right.
I think that, I mean, it doesn't mean that Oblique wouldn't have won anyway. However, I do believe Noah was going to run faster than 989 if
Wow.
he had a season that looked more like a season. He would have showed up back on the street level and he would just fall. But you got to commend him for not being great. Saying, like, I'll line up with anyone. But then the machine, there was two guys he had to beat that were like at that top. They kept telling him, Shane has something to back in 2 years now. Now, he might improve, but this is who he is. 9-7 something.
So here's my take on it. And
then what we get the championship.
here's where my take on it is. I knew Kishane wasn't going to win, but I knew he was going to come second because I don't think there are going to be two people to beat Kishane. Here's why. 975 is 975. Anyway you take it, that's 975. But I knew Kishane had not done any background work in the 2 and the 4. And I was like, this isn't Jamaica where you can coast the first 2 rounds. You're going to have to put in effort there. You're going to have to do something. And you're out of your comfort zone. And not having that background for me was the big deal. The difference between why I chose Oblique over Kishane. Oblique ran 20.5 in March, 20.43, and 20.13. So I'm like, okay, he has that. And then he ran 47 flat. Now, for a sprinter, 47 flat is great. So I knew he had that endurance. And what I saw, I think what put it over the edge for me was that race in Lausanne.
Yeah.
That was when I saw because I mean 987 in those conditions, you can't really find 3 faster times by anybody in those conditions. So for me, it was like, all right. And what I noticed this year was no one was catching him.
Yeah, in the back half of the season, Oblique was the best sprinter. That's not up for debate. And when I say Oblique's talent is scary, the statement that I keep regressing back to is to suggest that on talent, he might be the most complete 100-meter sprinter that, no, I said 100-meter sprinter that we have right this second. But it's a competitive race. And because of that component, I'm just not going to pick him. Because he's in the mix. Like I see him in that group and like he squarely put himself in that top group, but now he broke through. So now the narrative has been rewritten. Now he is a champion. He said it himself in the interview, or one of the interviews. I'm sure he said it more than once. And now that he's achieved that, going forward, we will no longer, doubt that. As far as like, okay, it happened once, it can happen again, and yeah, go from there.
And I think everybody knew it because even Coach Glenn Mills, he said it in an interview on our local station here, TVJ. He said he heard the rumors. He was that 2.0. We all know he's talking about being a Safa 2.0. He heard the rumors. He heard the things that were being said. And for him not to be there, I think this is the first time he has an athlete in a major championship and he's not at the championship. He's here in Jamaica, he's at home. And for me, that was that point where I was like, okay, he's there with Oblique, he's saying everything. And that for me was like, this, I mean, we have to give Glenn Mills his credit.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at Usain Bolt, we look at Johan Day, but this man knows how to produce them. Warren Ware was under his tutelage. Here's Oblique, Kim Collins and Jarnell Hughes is under his tutelage. So this man knows how to train athletes. And I have to give him his credit this year. Like,
Oh
he
yeah,
really put it.
100%. Because Glenn Mills has been in the game for from the time I'm coming up in the sport, as far as like looking up, hearing that name, seeing him associated with the top sprinters in Jamaica. Jamaica's always going to keep producing athletes because it's in the culture. You're actively looking for the greatest. America, we just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. And because we have so much talent just running around, something's going to stick. But we're not actually trying. Like, just be real. Like, Noah Lyles is actually the most talented sprinter we've had who made it his business to be a great sprinter, to be honest. He's not a kid who played another sport seriously who then said, I'll just sprint. He's a kid who was young saying, I want to sprint. I don't know hardly anybody in the sprinting community for whom that's true about. And I'm thinking about guys who are on the Olympic scene. Like, that's just not what we do here. We try a bunch of other stuff. When the other stuff ain't working, it's like, I guess I'll run. That's how we do it.
It's unfortunate. I'm going to bring you up because I'm going to get into today's events because I have to talk to you about that. But we also saw the women's 100 meters. Big shout out to Melissa Jefferson Wooden. I mean, I think we knew she was going to win. Like, it was the easiest. It was the easiest prediction next to probably Shelley in 2015 or something like that. It was like, yeah, okay, she's gonna run. And especially when we saw that semifinal where she gave us 10-7 so easily, we were like, all right, this is a foregone conclusion. But the thing that I thought was going to be Julian Alfred's problem. No, yes, we heard she picked up an injury, but my mindset was I don't think she would have gotten that silver either way because remember, her PB is 10.72. Tina ran 10.76.
Yeah, but she had run 10.7 twice this year.
Right.
She ran one into a significant negative. So, I mean, for my taste, the injury actually makes a whole lot more sense to me because they're the reason why it was those two at the top. Because Julian Alfred was dominant all season long. Melissa Jefferson Wooden comes into GST first meet in Jamaica, like the time we're 100, but she's winning whatever's there, and then she starts coming on. Like from that point, where I don't think I think Julian Alfred from the time we first saw her, the entire year she was lights out. So as a result, like, and then Prefontaine with the test. So I mean, the injury, and remember the whole Diamond League, where she was registered to run the meets, pulled out, come back, run the Diamond League final. Like all that math adds up to me that she was trying to hold it together and to go out there and do it. Tina Clayton belonged on the podium anyway.
Right.
She belonged on the podium anyway, and now she has a silver medal.
The youngest world championship medalist ever. Like,
yeah. So, but it goes back to the point. Jamaica is going to keep finding the next because if you make it your goal to find the next, you will. If you don't make it a goal, then.
For me, I was happy for that Tina moment because of what happened last year, and we saw her win the world under 20 twice back to back, running 10.9, doing all of that as a junior, and she was the star. I mean, when Nike gave the contract, it was Tina's contract, and Tia was the +1, right? So that was what was happening, but Tia emerged and looked good. I mean, I can tell you right now, I still think Tia is faster at this point, right now, today. But Tina held it together. She did it for her sister, and say big kudos to her and to Frana as well. But for me, I said this before, the curse continues because the only Olympic champion that has won the world title the following year was Shelley and Fraser when she did it twice. But nobody else has done it, so the curse continues. So that was, that's sad, but it is true. So I'm going to get into these races, these couple of races that we saw today, because the truth is tomorrow is really all about the 200. Like, that's what it is about,
Yeah.
right? So I'm going to play this first race here. Now, for me, I go back to that race. Let's bring this up back. So that race, that women's 200 meters. Now, MJ wasn't considered a 200-meter runner. But as it stands in the championship, she's the fastest woman. Because obviously Juju is not there. Gabby isn't there. What's your take on what Melissa is doing this year? I mean, big shout out to Dennis Mitchell as well. And her looking forward to her, what she could do tomorrow.
I mean, I'm going to bring it up before we get there. I look at it, and I said it in my recap today, that we're dealing with kind of this moment in sprinting history for what this year is, where when you take Gabby and Julian out, and it's hard for me because Sharika was taken out last year, and now Sharika's back, and we just saw 21.99, 22 flat, and we just watched the 22 flat, so it feels like Melissa, she's great in the two, like for what this bag or what this field is, but I'm not delusional. I don't feel like she's a world beater in the 200. I just don't feel that way. I mean, maybe evidence will change that, but that's not where I'm at. As far as I'm concerned, it feels more like I compared it to Sharika Jackson right now feels like Michael Jordan coming back. When he retired, he came back, like the 96, 97. He wasn't the same guy in 97, 98. Just being real, he wasn't who he was in 93, but he was still better than y'all. So the question is Sharika in that place right now where I think I've had to let go of, all right, let me just not expect to see that version come back. But is the version that she is now still better than everybody else? Because Melissa is the measuring stick where, I'll be honest, I think Sharika's racing herself tomorrow.
Whoa.
I don't think she's racing Melissa. If Melissa wins, it's just because Sharika failed. I'm not going to see it unless Melissa gives me something that's not what I'm expecting to see. I don't expect to see faster than 21.80 from her. I just don't.
Yeah, what's funny is I got a phone call on Sunday.
Maybe 21.75.
No, I got a phone call on Sunday, and again I said this on another show. I said Sharika is in 21.7 shape. That was the message I was told, which is probably 70% of who Sharika is. Right? That's 21.7 is 70% of Sharika, or 80% of what Sharika is.
Yeah, well, 1995,
But when you look at that, I said if Melissa is going to win, Melissa has to run faster than 21.7. Sharika is going to give you 21.7. And I think a lot of us equate 10.6 to 21.7. Like Shelly ran 10.6, but her PB is 21.79. And that's one of the funny parts of it. And even in the year that she ran the 10.6s, 10.6s, she lost 200 meters to Sharika, who her PB that year was 10.73. And like I said, I've said it all week to people, you don't necessarily lose 400 meter strength. Like, you don't really lose it because Sharika's been running 400 since high school. That's who she is. She's a strong, powerful athlete. You don't really lose that. So my take on it was Sharika is going to run 21.7. If Melissa has to win, she has to go further than that. So that race for me is something that I saw from Sharika, which was that's who Sharika is. 21.99, running her season's best without actually breaking a sweat. She ran the curve. She came off the curve, probably ran 20 meters off the curve, and then realized she was in the lead and cruised her way in. I wouldn't say she shut it down, but she cruised her way in. That for me was scary. That was scary for me.
I guess the thing is, I agree, but in parts of that, it's just that, and again, I deal with this in the comment section. I just see it differently, and I asked my sprinter friends. I asked them,
right?
Because I sprinted, and I remember what it felt like for me. So I asked people who were faster than I was, explain this to me. So I think we make too much about, because again, I still am going to just stand on my Sharika take, which is I don't know if I mean you feel confident in 21-7. I don't know. It might be 21-83. It might be 21-88. It might be like remember there's win factors, all these other things. I mean, there's so many like I think it'll be faster than 21-9, and I know that's enough to put everybody else to bed. Because
Right.
no disrespect, I just don't. Shout out to the Navy of Battle. She's probably the most likely candidate for bronze. But like, it's kind of like all those ladies to me are more or less we just trying to break 22 to say we did it. Like that's it. Like this is I'm trying because like Amy Hunting's in the final, but she had to run a PB just to get there, and she still didn't break 22. So like that's what we're dealing with behind them. Dina Asher Smith, I mean, like she won stuff in the 200 era that wasn't this. Like when they weren't moving this fast. So like for as far as like that comfortability, like the amount of effort that it takes, like I think what happens more or less when we talk about those I call them running confidently
Right.
more than like shutting it down or being easy. I say running confident because when you're in front and you know that things have been clicking, you can run with a sense of relaxation that makes it look like you're not putting an effort. I think that's what we're really visually seeing more than it is because like not to skip ahead, it's just whether it's her, Brian Lavelle, what have you, you don't run a season best.
Mhm.
When I watched you try in a race to run 22 mid, you don't run a season best and then tell me I wasn't trying. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that argument. You were trying, you were executing. It's just that you were able to run comfortable, you were able to run confident, and that's still very encouraging. So it's kind of like tomorrow. I feel like it's you can flip a coin, you can go whichever way you want to go. I just side with I want Sharika to win for the reason I want her to run like her, or at least close to it. That's what I want. If Melissa Jefferson wasn't going to win, I want her to take it by force. I don't want her to get it because Sharika is not giving me something that's relevant or even in the realm of what she's capable of. That's why I think, yeah, I think if she could get under 21-70, I think that's enough to put it out of reach. Where it's like y'all just can't come get me. I think that's how I would assess it. 21. I think 21-70 to me is the line she has to pass. I can see Melissa Jefferson. I think she's more likely to run 21-80, 21-82, 183. If we're just talking clocks, it's possible she could get into the sevens, but I think she might need to put it out of reach. And yeah, and even then, Sharika, I think my concern for her is how do I put it? She's gonna have to come get Melissa on that turn.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's the thing. Like she's not gonna be able to get out of there unscathed. It's like she's gonna have to handle, and she probably knows this already. Like, all right, when I get up at 110, 120, I'm gonna have work to do.
That for me is where I think. But the thing about it is, Sharika has been running a lot of curves this year, so much so to the point, and I will get to it, of her running the start for the Jamaica relay team. Right? Well, we'll get to that in shortly. But you mentioned my boy. You mentioned my boy, so I got to play my boy. You mentioned my boy, so I got to play my boy. Brian Lavelle, 21 years old, running, having the season of his life. We saw 19.6 earlier. We saw 9.82 earlier. We saw him run 9.8 yesterday in the 9.84 in the heats. He drops 19.78 right now. What's your take on my boy? That's my boy right there.
I'll say again, it goes back to clocks. Again, I'll just address something on the channel with this, where I would say he's clearly in the conversation now. We knew he was entering, but now it's like he had announced himself, like it's official. He ran the first two rounds again confidently, and even then, I was watching the race. I'd say from 120 to 150, what I saw is run with confidence. I'd say from 150 to 180, 190, that was running comfortable. And then the last 10 was letting momentum carry me in. So now I ask myself, if he runs with, takes confidence and turns that up a notch to boldness, and that comfort, you turn that up to like attacking it, and then you
Right.
don't coast it in. Well, where are we looking at? I'm still not giving it much more than 1960 something. That's just what I see, and that's fast. And that would be an amazing race, especially under those conditions. And that's a medal in all likelihood, especially for how Taboho has looked. Because there's different ways to again, there's past, like we go off the history of an athlete, like what they've done in past championships, and then there's what do we see right now. I think the semifinals in a 200 tells you a lot about what we're dealing with right now. And I mean, Kenny Bednarek is going to have to run well. I think he's going to go 19. From what I saw, I think he's looking more like 19.5 high, 1960 something low. So you see how I see them in the same space. Taboho is probably the one who's most likely to fall off the podium off of what we just saw in these last two rounds. If
Right.
people want to create whatever narrative they want to, I'm like, I'm sorry. The plan was not to come out the turn with a field of randoms in the heats and be behind and have to run his way into. He tried to make it look good, but like with his little playfulness. But like, let's be clear, that was not the plan. That was not the
Yep.
plan.
Definitely.
Like Bolt didn't play with people in the beginning of the race. I'm sorry, he just told me he did. He would run to the point where he could be confident and comfortable and then have fun. But he didn't try to have fun in the first 40. Like that's not what you do. So, that's my Brian Lavelle take. It's just that warning shot that we got, and I'm sure we'll talk about Noah to some degree. I think he needed to remind himself. I think that's why he ran that race the way he did. Like, he wasn't even trying to tell them. He's like trying to remind himself. I need to remember that I'm better than these guys. And that's what that was. He sends a time down that dares you to come get him. And I'm like, Kenny, I don't think you can run that. And let's see, like, you could run it in theory. I just haven't seen any evidence this season you will. At which point,
Here's my
Ryan
issue.
Lavelle is the only one who might be able to go with the pace, but we just have to see something we've never seen before.
Here's my issue. The two guys who ran the best curve, and I'm going to get to Noah shortly, was Noah and Brian. I think Brian has the advantage of being in lane 7. So it's Tobago in 5, Lyles in 6, Brian in 7, Kenny in 8. That is the lane assignment when it comes to the big four. And I think it bodes well for Brian Lavelle being 6'4", having that. He's not a Usain Bolt 6'4". He's a powerful 6'4". He's big, right? 6'3", 6'4". He's big, but he is, because of that build, he's so explosive coming onto the blocks. I still worry about his first 3 steps. They kind of still look shaky to me. But when he makes it up, he takes that lead, and I think that's Noah being in lane 6 might work in Noah's favor because he can gauge himself off of Brian Lavelle. No, a lot of questions were asked after that race. A lot of questions were asked. The first question being asked is this: was it a statement for Noah, or was it a statement to the rest of the field?
I think it was both. I mean, it's again. I think part of it was because remember this season has been like different, so it's like he needed to because he runs off of energy. He feeds off of confidence and so on, and he needed to be. This is what I believe. Trying to get into his mind ever so slightly, that I think he felt that he needed to wake up tomorrow and go to the warm up track with the attitude. I'm the only one in this race who just has to be myself to win. Because at the end of the day, you can root for Brian Lavelle all you want. And this is not an anti-Jamaican take. This is just facts. Brian Lavelle is going to probably have to do something he's never done tomorrow. It just is what it is. He's going to have to run a race that he's never run in order to. If gold is what we're talking about, that's what it's going to require. Kenny Bednarek, the reason why he keeps tying up when he races Noah is because he knows I have to run a perfect race to beat this man. And perfect is not 170. It's not 180. It's
Oh yes,
200 meters of perfection for what I have. That's asking a lot for someone to be able to pull that off. Taboho even had, I think, the Olympics gave him confidence, but at the same time, like he's still, I believe, because I think the confidence he took into that final was confidence he got from the first 2 rounds. His first 2 rounds have not gone well, so he's gonna run a little more rattled. Again, not that he's not a champion, but that It's just what was the
Right.
blueprint on the way in. Noah looked shaky in the last time we saw him run a 200-meter on a world stage. He did. And I believe it's because he was sick. I mean, yes, the win counts for everybody who beat him, and the loss goes on his docket. But I said it, and I'm saying this on the record. I said before the championship started, the only way Noah Lyles does not win the 200-meter at the Olympics is if God Himself sits him down. And then we find out he gets COVID. And I was like, God Himself sat you down.
That's it.
I really believe that. I don't believe that a healthy Noah Lyles running confidently, like, because I want people to run their best. That's what I want. I don't want anybody to go into these races and get
Right.
hurt. I don't want that to be the narrative around. Because I'm an athlete who knows what it's like to be hurt in a championship. I know, like, no, nobody wants this. We want people to go and run their best, and I think most fans want to see the athletes compete within themselves and be at their best too. So Brian Lavelle's gonna have to do something he's never done because no one's gonna run faster than 1951, even if it's
But here's a little fact that I found hilarious. Right. It doesn't apply to Noah this year because he never did it. But the only two men to ever run sub 9.8 and sub 19.5 in one championship is obviously the two fastest men that ever did it, Johan Blake and Usain Bolt. So it's not a common thing to run 19.5, especially running after running 100. Let's be real. The only persons who've run that fast after running 100 meters was Cecilia Tobogo, Johan Blake, and Usain Bolt. Those are the only guys who've ever run that fast after running 100 meters. Unfortunately, that's the fact. Noah running 9.89 for me was a blessing in disguise for 200 because he never had to push his body to the limit in the 100. That's where I give him an advantage in winning. But Brian Lavelle being race sharp, but also being fresher than everyone else. Like, I know a lot of people talk about, hey, you've had days to recover and whatever. No, no, no. But I think just having those fresh legs, and we've seen it on numerous occasions where the fresh leg coming into the 200 meters, we saw it with Veronica Campbell Brown. We saw it with Usain Bolt in 2011. We've seen fresh legs do something in that race. That for me is where I'm still not giving Brian Lavelle the advantage. I'm still giving it to Noah for the same reason that you mentioned. Brian Lavelle is going to have to go somewhere he's never been before. Like, Noah's been everywhere except sub 19.3. He's been everywhere. So for me, I don't see Toboga being in 19.4 shape. I don't think Kenny's fastest time is 19.5. I don't think he'll be running 19.5 in the finals. Well, especially not 19.5 low.
yeah.
Right. So it does come down to, which most of us never thought it would have. It really comes down to a two-horse race. It is Brian versus Noah. And
Yeah.
again, for me, the advantage Noah has of being in the lane inside Brian, for me, is what is a blessing in disguise for him.
Yeah, but I think Brian Lavelle, he's like he has to swing for the fences. I'm
Right.
assuming. So as a result, that's where the experience of the other two men could outdo him, because he can't go into this race with any level of conservation. It has to be when this gun goes off. I want to not see Noah, and I don't want to see Taboho, and that's it. And I want to get Kenny as fast as I can. And I remember Kenny at the USA Championships. He's giving you that race and a little bit more. That's what's going to happen. He's going to give you that one. So, because Kenny's 200-meter semi was the lightest semi that I saw in terms of like Noah took his one out because he just felt like it. And when I saw the semi, I was like, oh, Kenny, they just kind of gave you a lot the way they set it up. Now, I don't know how they choose it in terms of like I know there's numbers that get him there, but by the time the names got on the list, I was like, oh, we got you and Ogando and some friends
That's
because
exactly what it
Ogando's
was.
gonna go, but he ain't gonna beat Kenny. And everybody else, y'all just running for placements. And that's what they did. They ran for placements.
I mean,
And they got
you said
eliminated on time anyway.
you said something on your show that I found really funny. Like, I shared it with a friend of mine. He's watching, by the way. When you said it's really those four guys and everybody fighting for 58. Like, that's what it is. It is Noah, Brian, Kenny, and obviously let's see, and then everyone else after that. So it's really two races. It might actually be three races, depending on how that turns out. We'll definitely see that. We'll definitely see that. But I have to go into this one. because I know you don't have a long time here. But I have to go. I have to go over to this race. I'm sorry. I have to. I don't care what happens for the rest of the championships. That's the race of the championships.
Oh,
I don't care.
100%. Everybody knows this.
I don't care if anyone breaks the record in the 200. I don't care what happens in the 4x1. This is the race of the championships, without a doubt. I
Yeah, but
mean,
for track and field fans, I'll say that much.
yeah.
If you're a real track fan, then it's not up for debate that this was the moment because it's the moment nobody thought we were going to see.
I mean,
Like we there was anticipation and then it lived up to the hype and then some.
let me say this: 47.98, and you lose. Like, spare a moment for Paulina. Now I understand her comments, but 47.98, had Sid not been there, you'd have now been the second fastest woman alive. Well, the second fastest woman. Well, probably the fastest woman, depending on what you think. And you lose. And not just that you lose, you got blown out. Like,
Well, I mean, it's 2 tenths.
two
But,
tenths
but,
of that.
but that's one way. Well, not as much in the 4 to me, but I think
Well,
the
that's
other
true.
half is I think we're also that's one way to look at the narrative. But I talked extensively about the Usain Bolt era and we're in the Sidney McLaughlin Levroni era. What's happening is what happened. So there's two ways to look at the analogy, but one is they're showing everybody else how to go faster. So as a result, Paulino and NASA don't run this if she's not there because they don't have to. It's just not required. Paulino ran a race she'd never run. She went to a place she'd never gone. She ran it like I've never seen her run it because she had no choice.
That is
No choice. She was like, and she knew this when she went to sleep before that race. I've got to go to a place I've never gone. And
Right.
it's a blessing in disguise that Sydney ran 48:31 for the purpose of us as entertainers. Because I thought to myself, if she had kept that closer to vest, and let's say she had delicately dropped 49.3, you see what I'm saying? Like they probably would have ran that race with a little more, oh, we got this with a similar, approach to how they would have normally ran it. Like, oh, maybe she's not as great as she might be. But once they saw that, they're like, oh, we don't have choice. we better go get in our bag and get every tool we got. And they did. So I mean, Sydney, you can't say enough about her. True class act in the sport. I think people don't understand that she's, you know, this next cut of ability and status and approach where people are like, oh, why wasn't she racing? And I said it in jest. So I was like, she's probably just training, like doing time trials, competing against men because there's no woman they can get her to run with in a competition that's going to train her. And it makes sense that there's no point in her racing. Like she's at a point now where like, because now that she won this 4 because of where she was coming from which everything she did in the hurdles. What's she supposed to do next year? Run more 400s? Like, yes, people want to see her get the world record, but I feel like people want to see her do it. But is that what makes her get motivated? I guess she could try to go for it. I mean, if I were her, I'd say let's go run some 200s. Like that would be the next. I think that's the next thing you go try to knock down. Why not? Because she needs an actual challenge. Running the 400 hurdles is no longer. She can just fail to win. And after this, she can just fail to win the 400. She can't win it anymore. There will be no more victories. Every time she runs the 400, they'll keep bringing up the world record. They won't even let her run. So that's why she can't even race too much because everybody's going to be disappointed if she doesn't run what they want to see. They don't want to see her run 49.1. They want to see her run this. And it's not like that. So she's in such a special, unique place as an athlete that, we just have to enjoy it while we have it because we won't have it for long.
I mean, let's be real. If Sid Race runs until she's 30, that would be, past 30, that would be a bonus for track and field because I think she's going to pull Usain Bolt. She's probably going to do LA and say, I'm done.
Yeah. If I were her, I would. There's nothing else. Like, because the thing is, once you've achieved it, it's like, do I just want to taste this again? Because the other thing you do is you overstay your welcome. And I'm using this in an affectionate way. I mean, Johan Blake is on one end.
Right.
And Alison Felix is still to a lesser degree. where you overstayed your welcome to the point where not that we don't appreciate having you in some form, but we know you're not who you were,
Right.
and we have to adjust to that. That's the problem. As fans, it's hard for us to make that in our minds when we see you so far ahead. Uh, then you can go out on top. You know? You can just go out on top. If she retired today, it'd be like you can't get that. I mean, you know, even feel it. Y'all gonna figure out make it better. Like, I felt like this the other night. I felt like this was going on here. Fortunately, they're like, look, like, and it feels like when she's running, it's more like a skateboard run, where she's running by herself.
You know, it's funny.
Somebody else is trying to match that trick.
Someone said, someone texted me and said to me, Sid should go into the enhanced games. I don't know why.
I thought that as a comment. I mean, I mean, that's a whole nother discussion because I just have no 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 level of I don't think I'll say it this way. The enhanced games is not for it's not track and field people who are organizing it.
Right.
Somebody said they don't hear me all that well. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you now. I think you were broken up a bit.
Oh, okay. It might have been internet connection or something. But yeah, they like whoever's organizing that. It's not track and field people who are organizing it.
Right.
And they're, as far as I understand it, I'm saying this on the record in the internet. As far as I understand it, it's a drug company that's looking to promote their drugs.
That's what I think.
That's what it is. So this is not sports. And track and field is a sport. It's not. Like it's not that. It's an actual sport. There's a technique. That's why we're in awe to watch what she does.
Right.
Because we realize that this is not just people who go work out and then go run. It's actually otherwise anybody who's strong and has good weight room strength can go do it. So for that reason, like we are witnessing a true, you know, like Michael Jordan was different. That's what he was. Tiger Woods was different. See, these athletes, they have something you don't have. This isn't about, you know, you can train as hard as you want, but hard work can only be talent when talent don't work hard. And she's working hard. Again, that's why she's running time trials with men. She'll get actual like college sprinter men who are fast enough to make it. You know, they can challenge her and go past her. But now she's actually working for something. She could go run a race, but if y'all can't break 50, this isn't a race.
That it is super sad that it is so sad that Sid is at a point in her career where it's literally just her versus herself. And when I say that we saw Bolt get challenged. Like we saw him get challenged. We never there's nothing. The last time Sid got challenged, she was 16. Like
a little bit when she was like 19, 18.
Well, maybe a little bit.
But that's when it was because she won in 2021. So you go back to 2019. Didn't she lose 2019?
2019. I don't think she was at the championship.
No, the World Championship. She should have been there 2019, I believe, because she finished in college and then went right after.
Right.
She ran one season of American college. You know, because she's American. She ran one because when she went to college. This is the truth. This is one. There's a bunch of different ways to describe Sydney McLaughlin LeBron. One is when she went to the University of Kentucky. She went there to pretend to be a college student. She just was pretending. She wasn't really. And that was the thing about it, that I think she realized the indoor track in America, because there are no 400 hurdles indoors, she actually got to race because they only had races that weren't her race. She makes the national championship in the indoor 200 and the indoor 400. Like she's good enough to do both of those. And those aren't her races. So I don't know why people didn't think she could run these races. When an 18-year-old, you know, just walks in and had that experience of like, all right, I'm already one of the best of this level. And then the 400 hurdles, forget about it. Like she just, run away with the championship and the records and so on. And at that point, I think she had to sit down with her family and be like, as much as I want to go to college and have this experience, I realize I'm just pretending. I'm trying to make it look like I belong with you all, and it's almost like I got to dim my light just to fit in.
And for me, I mean, I have her. It's sad. People do rankings all the time, and I would say in track and field, she's in that upper room. You know,
Yeah.
that room with Carl, that room with you saying that she's in that room. And it's sad when I say that. As great as Shelly is, I don't think Shelly is in that room because these are like Shelly is the greatest female 100-meter sprinter of all time. She's the GOAT. Like that's facts. But there's a room called for the untouchables, and Sid is in that room. She's in that room with Jesse Owen, and she's in that room. Like when they go into a race, it's more of okay, who's gonna get second,
Yeah.
or what?
The way you get in that room is you have to give a sense of being bulletproof.
Right.
And this was the moment where if you ever doubted, because remember, we were having real discussions on the finish line, and the argument was whether or not she was going to win or not. And I kept resorting back to in 2023 when she wins the American Championship and runs what at that year went down at the fastest time in the world that year, and doesn't run at the World Championships. Do you really believe that if she had pulled up to that meet and was able to run, she wasn't going to go faster? Like, you really believe that?
Yeah.
Like that was what we were trying to suggest. The first 400, I believe, she ran at that window of her career was against Nasser and Paulino.
Right.
And Paulino edges her out, runs past her in the back at the end, and like the last 75, and Nasser loses. And this is when the thing is, she has more ability than Nasser and Paulino. It's just a fact, not an opinion. She's faster through the two, and she's stronger as a 400 hurdler. So the only way they were beating her was they were betting on experience in the 400.
Right. And I think no one saw Sid going well prior to the semifinals. No one saw Sid going 47. We were like, all right, it's her first year fully focusing on the 400. Baptism of fire maybe. Gave us maybe break the American record 48.5, 48.3 would be cool. The fact that she goes out and does 48.29 in the semis, looking the way she looked, like she does the man eater of an event, the man killer of an event, the 4 hurdles. And what I find funny about Sid is this: she's run her fastest times all the time in the championship. It doesn't matter if she broke the record the year before or early in the season. When she comes to the championships, it's gonna be something.
But that goes back to, I said this before, goes back to why Bolt is special and how he got in that upper room, for as you describe it. People think it's because he ran fast. That's not true. The first time he broke the world record was in New York City. I know. I'm from New York City. He did it at Icon Stadium. That's the same place that they let me run my league championships in high school. I remember running on that track weeks before he ran on that track. So then when I saw it happen, I recognized, but the sports community didn't care that much. That was just a track news thing. Then he goes to the Olympic Games and goes faster.
I'm going to show this comment because they said, Shauna, big up yourself. Shauna said, Shelly has to be in it. Sid is hot, no, but will she have the consistency and longevity of Shelly? Like, I don't think Sid needs the longevity. Like, she doesn't. She's giving us the fact that, hey, every time I show up, the moment I could drink, or even before I could drink, even though I don't think she did drink, but the moment I could drink, I was winning by landslides. Like people.
Well, she couldn't drink when she was when she was winning world championship medals. She couldn't drink in the States yet.
Right, that's true. But that's what like when I say the untouchables, we have to understand what untouchables mean. It meant once Bolt lined up in a 200, you were coming second. It meant once Sid was in a race, it doesn't matter. Like Sid ran races and women ran times behind her where those would have been world records had Sid not been running. You talk about a Viking, Christian Warholm, like that. These are the untouchables. Once they're fit and they're running, we're fighting for second. Like that's what it is. The reason why I don't have Shelly in that room as much as I have her as the greatest female 100-meter sprinter, Shelly's complete dominance of once I'm here, I'm going to win, was really in spurts. It was 2008, 2009, then it was 2012 to 2015, then it was in spurts. She was always getting medals, but dominance, another untouchable, Mondo Duplantis. He's an untouchable.
Yeah, but that's because he has the exact same report of like I can't, like it feels like there's no way to beat him. He has to beat himself. But I think if I were to put Shelly Ann Fraser Price in that group, which I still would, but this would be under a different codification. What she's doing is the equivalent of what gets LeBron James into the GOAT debate, which is longevity versus the greatest hits. Michael Jordan gave us a stretch from 1990 to 1998 where he was the guy. Everybody's just competing for second. He had to literally stop playing.
Right.
That's the only way you could win. He had to just say, I'm not going to play most of the season or all of it for you to have a real shot. And Kellyanne Fraser Price, she stayed in the game at such a high level for so long where that in and of itself is not just noteworthy, it's like that's something we haven't seen. So that's what gets her up there, but it's a different way to climb in there. And that's much harder to do, you could argue, but it's not, I don't want to say harder. It's a different type of hard because normally when you are in that, it's like grinding your way there versus like just going in and just checking the boxes and just submitting your ticket.
And I think one of the things about Shelly,
Sydney's already checked all her boxes.
Right. One thing about Shelly, I must admit, Shelly has been in 16 individual finals and has won 13 medals. And the only time she didn't win medals, 2011, when she decided that she thought she had second, and Veronica and Kelly and Baptiste came from the outside. 2021 in the 200-meter Olympic final, where she came fourth. And this year. Those are the only 3 times in history Shelly has gone into a finals and not walked away with a medal. So I give her that thing. I mean, Gavin just said, some people thought Grant was in that untouchables room.
Well, I still think he is because he has been in that group. The only thing that happened this year was he was hurt. He made a decision. The decision, I watched his entire season. He was hurt before World Indoor. He was hurt the first time I saw him indoors. I could see he had tape on. But he wanted to go to World Indoor really badly and get another gold medal. So he fought his way there when he wasn't himself, but he was good enough to get through it. And as a result, then his body had to come down, and he didn't realize just how fragile he really was, in my opinion, because obviously he got hurt. More so, remember, he was hurt, ran through it, and then tried to keep going. So much so where he really didn't have enough real estate to get ready for this championship, and that's just a fact. It was just time to go. So he went. And he looked like Grant Holloway for 60 meters. He just couldn't look like Grant Holloway for 110, and that's a fitness issue. Meaning his training, he just didn't have enough time to be able to get back to Grant Holloway status. So, yes, it's a loss. It goes on his ticket. But if he comes back and wins 2027, 2028, for example, if that's what he wants to do, because then it just further goes back to the point.
That for me, I mean, and the Grant, I think the one thing that Grant needed was when he got that gold medal in Paris. Like, as bad as it is, I must say this, we all know, and I'm a big Hansel fan, like Hansel's coach is the person who told me I should be a coach and is probably still upset that I'm not a coach. That's Fitz Coleman. He was my coach in high school. And I knew how Hansel was going to win in 2021 because of the fact that he was in 2 other rounds with Grant. And you don't give Hansel 3 rounds with one person. He's going to get you. So I knew that. But I think Grant, with that year, I think he had run 1281 that year and lost. And I think that was the chip he had left on his shoulder. He got it back and he was able to win last year. I mean, you go three um, world championships in a row. Let's be real. You're in as a hurdler. We're talking Alan Johnson. That's the league we're talking about. Like Alan Johnson is the most consistent hurdler probably of all time in the world championships. This dude has 4 gold medals. You know, he was able to do that. So I give Grant his credit, and we all, like I said, like you said, he was injured this year, and we saw it. It was obvious. Like Grant not making a
Yeah.
final is like that's an anomaly.
Yeah, the whole, he was injured from the moment we saw him till now. He ain't never been healthy in any race we ever saw him this year. Just being honest. He won the World Indoor 60-meter hurdle title just because he could. And by could, and then he made a decision to say, I'm going to go do it anyway. I mean, it's an experience, but before I go, I know you brought up the 4x1s, and they're not going off yet. But
Yeah,
I
they
feel
are.
like let's touch on that because I want to hear from you your perspective on the Jamaican relay. Because again, I recognize that Jamaica has a very different approach to the sport than America does, and we kind of get to see how those approaches kind of play out in these world championships. Otherwise, we have a totally different system
Right.
and how we
Exactly. That's right.
come at it. Yeah. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
All right. So I had I had the privilege of speaking with people who are in Japan. As you know, I'm nosy, so I had to make phone calls and message and stuff. And what I got for the relays at one point before it started, I was happy. Then I kind of dropped a little bit, and I'm kind of being happy again. So for the men, we know 3 men will be running the relay. Kim will be running, Oblique will be running, Kishane will be running. That's a fact. They may also run both the first round and the semis, which I think will be the fact. Will be what will be happening. The issue was everybody was talking was Brian Lavelle. Now Michael Frater came out in an interview, who's the coach. I don't think you could get a better relay coach, by the way, than Michael Frater, the safest relay runner in Jamaica's history. But in coaching the team, he said, Brian would not be run. He's leaving the room open for Brian. But I got a message. I'm going to read that message for you because this message is kind of you see, I'm going for my phone. It says, according to sources, Lavelle had terrible issues of a disrespectful nature with the relay coaching staff while at the World Relays, and because of that, he vowed never to run a relay for Jamaica again. The issues were not resolved and addressed amicably, and asking him to turn up to relay camp to work with those same people would be foolish. The J3 head was well aware of the issues and never did anything about it. Right? So that was the message that I got. Because in reality, the idea they were tinkling with, let's be real, there were 2 ideas they were tinkling with. It would have been to front load. So it would have been Kishane to oblique, run Brian Lavelle on the curve, and hope for the best with Akeem. That was one idea that was being put out there. And another idea was also to go with Kishane at the start because Kishane has issues receiving the button. Like, we know this. Run oblique on the backstretch, run Akeem on the curve, and anchor with Brian Lavelle. 19.6, 982. That was the idea. We don't know if that will be happening, but we know for sure that those 3, Akeem, Kishane, and Oblique will be running the relays. As far as I know, Oblique has the backstretch, Kishane has the anchor. That's as far as I know. I don't know if Akeem will be running the curve or be starting. I don't know if Brian will be in the team. That's as far as I know.
Right. It would make the most sense for him to run third, but that's coming from American logic, which is, you're trying to decrease the amount of changes and think that have to kind of mix around, in order to, especially from prelim to finals, if you're going to have to swap a guy in or out or something like that. Like, you just want to keep it as...
The thing with Brian is that Brian actually he has a great relay IQ. He was a part of the team that broke the national junior record in the 4x1s. He ran the backstretch then. I think he has improved so much as a curve runner that he would automatically go to curve. And I think if you're a curve runner and you can run the backstretch, I think running the third leg would be easy for you, naturally.
I mean, in theory, yeah, it's just... my lens for the relay comes from my time in, the NCAA running relays, at that level. And we have teams, and then those, they're relay, and then you have a relay team that's, for your college team, and you get to see what a team can really do when you run multiple relays across a season together, competing. So, as far as I'm concerned, it feels like Jamaica has been depending on their talent
That's
to
exactly what
out
is going to
talent
happen.
the world. And that's why when I keep saying that Bolt team that broke the world record never maxed out. They could have done so much more than that. So they could have put the record out of reach. Instead, the four men who we're going to put out there this year, in theory, for America, have the talent to take that record out if they execute it. I don't think they will, but I'm saying like they have the talent to execute and take that record out because we have our own bag of issues, and because you know, well, T. Martin McCallum, some form of an injury in his 100-meter heat. Courtney Lindy is supposed to be on the team, but at the same time, he has not been running great. You know, like he hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't been running great this entire
Right.
championships. Now here's the problem: if they were a relay team, that wouldn't matter because you just run your guys. Canada, they already know they're going to run their guys.
Right.
Now I'd be shocked if they take Brendan Rodney off. He hasn't even run well this entire season, but when he gets that baton in his hand, I ain't worried because we've been doing it for a decade. I know you, you know me. Hey, let's ride. It's another time to go at it. That's why I think for Jamaica and America both, we have some version of the same issue, which is because these teams are still new teams.
Right.
And then, because the thing is, like, when you're in a relay, competing at a high level, because the pressure of a world championship is so much more pressure than anything else you would experience. So imagine, I'm just trying to imagine, like, how wild it is to not really compete with these people on with any degree of regularity, and then say,
Right.
let's go to the most pressure-packed moment where everybody's running super, super fast, and we've got a small margin for error, and let's go do it for the first time. Let's see how this goes.
You see, the thing about the Jamaican men team is one of the things that, and this is the thing that happened with the Usain Bolt era versus now. The safest exchange in 4x1 history is Nesta Carter to Michael Frater. Those guys, Michael could close his eyes and the battle would be in his palm. Like, Mike Nesta knows him that well. They were on the team in 08, they were on the team in 2011, they were on the team. That's continuity. When Johan Blake came into the team, remember, Johan had been passing to Usain Bolt in training. But Johan, probably even before he went on the team, probably had the most relay experience of everyone, having run on the national junior team that at the time had set the world record with himself and Romado Rose, and running in St. Jago, that St. Jago team, which had Nickel Ashmead, Riker Ilton, Johan Blake, that was that team. He was so used to it that when because the truth of the matter is, let me say this, many people don't know this, in 2011, they were thinking of using Johan to anchor to fill like a Safa Powell role and keep both on third. Johan raised his hand and said, give the man his leg. And he, as the youngster of the team, took the responsibility of the third leg. And obviously we know what happened that year and the year after. But there was a sense of understanding amongst everyone. They knew each other. They've been training together. Here you have Akeem is over by Michael Frater, Oblique is over by Glenn Mills, Kishane is over by, and they don't run a lot together. The last time they ran together, or the only time they've run together this year, was when we were trying to qualify in London. So what I love though about the team is that they have been training since Monday. That's what I love about the team. They've been training since Monday. And we don't have the drama outside of the Brandon Bell situation. We don't have the drama that what I'm hearing is happening in the US camp.
Well, I mean, it's again, this isn't rocket science. You pick a team, and you just have to become a team. I mean, I'll tell you the secrets. This is not that hard. I mean, if America really wanted to get the relay right, all we would have to do is do a proper relay camp. And notice what I say proper. All we need to do is what other USA teams do, which is go get a select team to compete against you. Practicing with yourself is not helpful. You need to go get somebody who's actually trying to beat you, put them on the track with you, and say, okay, we're going to run 4x1s. We're going to run 2 today, and we're going to run a final tomorrow.
Right.
So essentially so now we're going to do this live. We're going to do it hot. I would call college teams that have 4 Americans on them that can go 39, 38. They're probably not fast enough to beat you, but you need somebody trying to beat you, so that you can actually have to execute to see what it feels like to be in the fire. and then that will kind of because when you drop the stick under those pretenses, because if you what happened to us last year at World Relays when they got gold with Noah and Kenny B and like
Right.
that group, I was there to watch them run relays. They ran their first relay they ran they didn't get around. Then there was another relay they ran. This practicing at like American college meets or whatever, Olympic development. So I watched them at another Olympic development where they dropped the stick or they messed up the handoff, like they were DQ'd.
Right.
That's again the same group that goes to world relays and wins that gold. The thing is when we get to Paris, by the time we get to the prelim and the final, the group that we sent to world relays is not the guys who we have out there for a bunch of different reasons. So all that practice means nothing.
I
When
mean,
everything we practiced for all those months, because it was a month and a half of
right.
them becoming a team, and then that team never runs as a team when we needed them to be that. Because they would have won the Olympic gold if we had just had that group.
And
That's
that
all
for
we
me
need.
is, and I'm going to show you something on the screen, which I think is the truth. Michael Freighter is an advocate for relay camps. And like I said, you don't get a better coach in the relays than Michael Freighter. Like, this man knows what it is like. I mean, from his days, at Wilmers, then going overseas, I think he went to TCR and running there and coming back to Jamaica. He is used to running 4x1s. And I think he being a coach, being on the team, I think that works well for them. Now we head over to the women for Jamaica, coached by Paul Francis, which is Stephen Francis, Francis' brother. Um, they're over there, and the women order I think is a little bit straighter because based on the information been getting, as I said, I'm nosy, so I'm always messaging and finding out what's going on. So what they're planning to do, what they want to do, and they're tinkering with two ideas but the real idea is they want to give Shelley the glory leg
Okay.
and front load the team. So it'll be Sharika to Tina to Tia to Shelley. Because again, the first three train together. So
Okay.
Sharika, Tina, Tia, they train together. And again, you don't get better chemistry than twins. Like they've had chemistry their entire life.
Yeah.
So and for me, Tina having run the backstretch so often, like that's her lane. She ran it at Edwin Allen, she ran it on the Jamaica junior team. That's her lane. She's the backstretch. And she has taken it even as being a star, she took that because what will happen in the future, and I will say this for you, there's a young lady that we're waiting on that is now being coached by Coach Brownman by the name of Brianna Liston.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Who she in that third leg, that's where she cements herself because she's a 200-meter specialist. The truth be told, that's really her event. She ran 23.7 as a 12-year-old. That big headline and all of that. So for me, Brianna Lister, so they're preparing the team for the transition. And that's what I love about the women's team. It is a transitional team. You have the Alana Reeds of the world, you have the Brianna Listons of the world, you have the twins that are there. So the team is really being prepped for the transition. So what may happen in the future, and when I say future, I mean the next World Championships, Sharika Jackson may be only a 200-meter runner. That's a real possibility in the next couple of years. But for the female 4x1 team, I think Sharika starting for me is not a bad thing. Her curve running is really good. Like she runs a really good curve, and with 200 meters speed, she's not going to die.
It's the thing that's interesting for me is like we just saw World Relays with Jamaica, and it sounds like if that's how it goes, then whatever that was is not what we're going to see here.
No, yeah, not.
And it might work. It's just I'm not a fan of, like it's hard to get better at. This is from my where I'm sitting. It's feel like it's hard to get better at something when the thing is changing, because like you don't know what to trust in. At some point, we got to lock something in and then actually see the needle move. That's why like that USA Men World Relays journey where they were butchering it and then butchered it again, and then their prelim was all right, what I mean? And then they finally started like, okay, now it's starting to look like something. But
Right.
it's like it's like, it's not if you don't get those reps in the fire, it's hard to really see how that goes. I mean, Team USA, our thing is essentially, as far as I know it, we're running the team we've been running for the last 2 years essentially now. The difference is we're switching or no, say Melissa Jefferson Wooden didn't run 2023. So because a lot of different, she didn't have the best season. So we're running what we ran last year, but Gabby Thomas will probably be swapped with Kayla White, from what I know, from
Right.
what I understand. And Kayla White trains with TT Terry and with Sha'Carri Richardson. It's essentially a training group. So in theory, they should have chemistry, but we just ain't never seen that group
Here's
run, like that foursome run together.
here's my problem with that, and Melissa will do her job. We know that. Like, I think that based on what hearing, I think they might still run Melissa at the start. I don't know. I wouldn't. That's not me. But based on what I'm hearing, that might be a real possibility. But also, um, yeah, Sharika was actually experimented in London, by the way, as a starter.
Mhm.
But my thing is, obviously, we know the relay running on a relay is different from running an individual event. There's a different momentum, whatever it may be. But if you run Melissa at the start with that Jamaican team that is there, because really the competition is going to be, all things being equal, it's going to be US versus Jamaica. That's what it is. Britain will be thereabout, but it's really a US versus Jamaica thing. You run that team. Say TT Terry runs that backstretch like she usually does. TT Terry ain't holding Tina Clayton. I I don't know if it's because of what I'm used to. I would think of keeping Jenna Prandini on that third leg. She runs an amazing curve regardless of what form
Yeah,
she's in.
well, I don't think she's in Tokyo, so
She is. She is.
she's there.
Yeah, she's there.
Okay, she might be. I mean, yeah, I mean, they might have brought her there, but I mean, it's just, I mean, all the women are everybody who we have. Okay, Melissa Jefferson wasn't the only one who is, you know, on the relay, quote unquote.
Right.
Who's again? We have our like the joke I made last year with Mackenzie Long and Brittany Brown. Any nation in the world, for the most part, would love to add them to their relay pool and be
Right.
more than happy to put them into the final. The issue is in America, we didn't even consider them. We didn't even consider. It was just like, oh, go run your 200s. All
Which for
right.
me, I find it weird because the US has been known to use other people. Remember, Alison Felix cemented herself on that back stretch. Look at Bianca Knight. I remember a couple years ago we had a conversation. Bianca wasn't even supposed to be on that 4x1 team. She wasn't supposed to be on that team. Tiana as well, coming over from the long jump to run the relays. Tiana will be here in a few weeks, by the way, guys. Um, just they were. I mean, Tiana was a long jumper. That
Yeah.
in 2016 she was doing the long jump. She won the gold in 2016 in the long jump, but they took her over and she ran that 4x1. As I said, Allison has run 4x1s for the US all the way up until 2019 or 20 yeah 29.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
when she switched over to the 400, she was still running 4x1s. So it's weird that somebody like a Mackenzie Long or a Brittany Brown, who I think would be an asset, knowing the Dennis Mitchell athletes aren't where they're supposed to be minus Melissa.
Yeah. It's just so many options, and that's why the lack of having a true team, and without getting into all the details, there's a lot of the word we use is politics involved.
Same here in Jamaica.
About who runs in what leg, why
Mm-hmm.
they run, who gets to have a say and why they're running that leg. Like the one of the worst jobs you can ever get is the relay coach for Team USA because it's a thankless job. If you win, you just did what you were supposed to. If you lose, everybody's gonna blame you. And the worst part about it is they won't let you coach.
Yeah.
Like you don't actually coach anything. Like everybody else is telling you how it's gonna go. So it's like, so what's my job? We just needed somebody to take the blame when it. Okay, I mean, like that. I could be Team with a relay coach up until they won't let me do it how I want to. But like on talent, it's not that hard because you're not helping them run fast.
Right.
You're not even helping them run fast better. All these people have run relays. You're only just trying to help them create synergy. That's the only thing. That's the only thing you're trying to do at that point. Oh, they have everything else. If you can do the synergy part, everybody will be fine. I mean, with the Jamaican women, they've been, more consistent, just like the American women have been more consistent. It's with the men that everything has just kind of been all over the place. Whereas, like,
Um,
men, we just be hoping that we get a time.
well, and I think that's because, I mean, when you look at teams like South Africa, like we've seen the South Africa team. We had two guys in the finals. I think they have a guy in the finals. There's Wade Van Niekerk who might run the 4x1. So you know their team. You look at Canada. Canada has had the same team for a decade. Like
Yeah, they
that's
swapped out one man twice,
right.
but the other three stayed the entire time.
Exactly. I mean, I think Aaron Brown is probably older than me, and he's still on
Yeah,
that team.
he's like 32.
No, oh really? Yeah, I'm older than him.
Yeah,
But
he
then
should be
I
like 32, 33, like in that window.
yeah. Right, so we look at him, and he's been there. Jerome Blake is going to be there. We know Andre DeGrasse is going to be there. So that team has cemented themselves. You look at Japan. Like Japan's team has been the same for like 3 years.
Yeah, but they just be
That,
finding people. I don't even know how to do it.
well,
They're the best example of like having a relay team and taking it seriously as a national thing
right.
because they're faceless. We don't know who these people are.
That is so.
They're
That
just
is so
wearing
true.
Japan, and we just take them seriously as like they're gonna be in the mix. I don't know who's running next to me.
Yeah, and but they put together a team, and I think that's where gone are the days when USA lined up and you were like, okay, we're fighting for second. Those days have been gone since 2004, but gone are those days. Gone are the days when we had that peak as Jamaicans from 2008 to 2016. We won every 4x1. Like that 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16. That's 7 straight 4x1s. You know, that era is gone because the reality was whoever runs the first 3 legs, both is going to get the baton and he's going to pass and we're going to win, and that's that.
Yeah,
That
you just
was
have to, they just have to hold it together. But you had
yeah,
him, you had Johan, you had like it was a time in history, and again, like he pulled everybody in who was coming along behind him
right.
with him, and you know, in America we don't get to enjoy that type of experience because
They-
there's a lack of continuity in our system. So it don't really matter who's running fast because they're all just kind of doing their own thing.
that
So
is
it's not
true.
like they're pulling anyone along. So I mean, again, hopefully we get it done. But when I say we, I say the term "we" in quotation marks. I mean, it's so. But yeah, I know I gotta transition off. But
Yeah.
it is truly a pleasure to be here and be here with the community. I mean, we got some great races coming our way. We've got a 200-meter final.
Definitely.
We got
I
the contest and the 400 hurdles for those who care on the men's and
yeah.
women's sides. We got the 4x1s coming at the end of it all. The prelims are going to be just as exciting as the finals to me because I'm going to be holding my breath the entire time.
Oh, that yeah, you and me both. You and me both.
Yeah, you
I
can't just say,
mean,
"Oh, it's the prelim." It's no. You got to watch the prelim because you might not have a final to watch.
that is true. We have 3 more days left, literally. Tomorrow there is no morning session, which I am glad for. I can sleep tonight.
Yeah,
Um, so there is no more morning session, but again, we get up early for those races. And then tomorrow being the day it is. We have the HEP starting tomorrow, 5,000 meters heats, which I'm actually going to be watching. The women's 800 meters, the men's triple jump. Again, having vested interest in that because again, we saw the migration of some Jamaican athletes, but the ones that have stayed, Tajay Gale getting a silver medal. I know a lot of people didn't have that for him. There's Jordan Scott in the finals for the men's triple jump, went in with the third best jump. He jumped twice and got it over with. The discus throw for men, the national record was broken this year by Rasford Mullings. Through 72 meters, broke the national record. So bye bye, Roger. So we'll be having those events, the hurdles. I don't like the fact that they have the men's hurdles before the women's this one because that men's hurdles that showdown and then the Viking being in lane 8. That you know what he's gonna do. Women's 400-meter hurdles. Femke Ball is there, but it's Dalila Mohammed's swan song basically, and she looked really good. So that's gonna be crazy. And then we have the 200 meters, which oh lord, everybody's waiting. The men go first, and then the women after. And again,
yeah, yeah. I mean, both races have their own excitement,
right.
but
So
in
it's
a very different way. But they're both Jamaica USA now in a version, but it's just that for the men, it's technically 4 people mixing it up.
right.
But it's like, are you going off of all the data, or are you going off of the last 2 races you saw? If it's the last 2 races you saw, then it's USA.
It probably, even if you go off the data, it's probably going to be Jamaica USA because again, remember, Brian Lavelle has run 1969. There are only two people faster than him this year, and they're both in the race. One's on his inside, one is on his outside. So that's basically it. So that is going to be a race. I mean, the entire social media community is letting me have it because I said that Noah did a little bit too much. So social media community is beating me badly. Like they're beating me right now.
It's
But
all right. I mean, hey, we all deal with it. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, in sports, all we can do is make predictions. It makes it more fun when you have a side. I mean, but it's all gonna be entertainment. It's
it
all gonna
is.
be entertainment when it's
Oh,
done.
oh, by the way, I just got the splits for the 400 meters. So for the first split, Sydney ran 11:71 for the first 100. Paulina was 11:92. Nasir was 11:84. For the second split, Sid ran 11:24. Paulina ran 11:17. For the third split, Sid ran 11:92. Paulina ran 11:88. And in that last 100 meters, Sid ran 12:91 to Paulina's 13:01. And that's how you get 47,
Yeah,
78 and 47.98.
yeah.
That,
It was a race for the ages. It was a race for the ages. We'll just have to play back the footage because I don't know when we'll get something quite like that again.
that we'll be watching that video for the next 15 years probably or until Sid does it in the next world. I mean, and I mean, Sid won that race in the first 100 because she was ahead of the field in the first 100, and she cruised the last two and then hit it in the on the stretch. So that for me is what I mean. Shout out Coach Bobby Kersey. I'm a big fan of what he's been doing for the past few decades, and for you to have a athlete like Sid, I mean, you're like what Glenn Mills was like when he got an athlete like Bolt. It was like, okay, yeah, our stock is going up. So I mean, big up Coach Bobby Kersey. Many people ask if he can coach men as well as he coach women, but we have the same question about Frano and Glenn and vice versa. But
But no,
yeah,
hey, we are gonna enjoy the show, and I'll have to pay attention to all of it.
it,
But
it's gonna be an amazing show. I mean, I'll be up in the morning. Thankfully, I don't have work as early, so I don't have any early classes tomorrow to teach, so that's fine. So I'll spend my time watching it in the morning.
oh yeah, well hey, today truly a pleasure, having you on the show. Shout out to again, all the fans, especially all the Jamaican fans. They've shown me a lot of love. They kind of
Yeah,
give me a hard time. I get accused of being biased. I get accused of being biased on both sides, which means I'm doing it
oh,
right.
a message was sent to me today with, and when I advertised that you were going to be on the show doing the recap tonight, the first thing someone said to me, Shauna Douglas, pick up yourself, was, "Will it be unbiased?" I was like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to call it how I see it, and if I think, because here I'm gonna say this, and I'll say this, and people can light me up in the comments. What I've concluded is that I think sprinting for Jamaica means so much as a nation.
right,
Like I think your fans, like that fandom is like it hits differently. See, in America, like America doesn't know there's a world championship going on.
right,
Like you have to understand that our sports community doesn't even know there's a world track and field championship going on. So our whole lens for this thing is different because these races to us, like, yes, this is the biggest thing we have, but we're still trying to figure out how we can make pro track work because there are no national heroes here. If that makes sense. When you win a gold
that's right.
medal in America, you're not a national hero. You're just a guy who runs track. Now, Noah Lyles is trying to draw attention because he doesn't have any.
Right.
Like, if that makes sense. Like, he's trying to create something, but I realize for Jamaica, it's very different because when you win a gold medal for Jamaica, you become a
You're a
national
national hero.
hero. In
You're a national.
America, you win a gold medal, you might get dropped by Nike. like, like, well,
That is
you
so.
would, I mean, you would, well, Daniel Roberts, he won a silver medal at the Olympics this past
Right.
year, he got dropped. Bryce Deadman won a gold medal in the 4x4, got dropped.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're dealing with. So, so with that in mind, I mean, it's just a different way. It's just a different way. Yeah, I mean, we're having a conversation. I appreciate the comments, but yeah, it's just a different approach to the sport. So
I
I
mean,
respect it. I mean, y'all go hard for your athletes like it's your family.
that,
Whereas
that
in our
that is.
again for us, the race had never even happened.
I mean, when Oblique won, like I'm gonna give you this joke, right? I said it on race the other night. I was in church when that race was being run, right? So I play music, so I was playing drums. So I had my laptop out. People thought I was doing sequencing. Hell no, I was watching the races. You know, so and I shouted out in the middle of it. And when they found out why, the church stopped to give Oblique congratulations. Like that's where how far it goes. Like so that's the thing that we love about our athletes. I mean, you don't have to win a gold medal and still be a national hero, i.e. a Safa Powell, but that's fine. We love you same way,
Oh
but
yeah, no,
it that's what
we're
we
not.
do.
We're so far away from that. That's why, like Melissa Jefferson, someone say in the comments, someone brought up Melissa Jefferson Wooden. Like,
Right.
she's not. She's in track and field in America. If you are not a brand, Sha'Carri Richardson is a brand. Melissa Jefferson Wooden is
Right.
the opposite of a brand. So as a result, I mean, she's getting attention because she's fast, but that's it. And
Hmm.
as a result, if you don't like track or don't know about it or don't have, again, America doesn't even know the world championships are happening. Melissa Jefferson Wooden could walk into Walmart right now and not be recognized,
And Oblique is coming
and
back a
then walk
national
right back
hero.
out. Like I
I
don't
mean,
think, yeah, Oblique can't just walk up and down through the nation like he's just a regular guy.
and I
And
mean,
I'm
I think
like people will see him and notice, oh, that's who that is.
I
She
think when
it's the opposite.
you look at Oblique, for many of us, it was Oblique grew up with us. Like, I would be probably Oblique's big brother, or, uncle. But we saw him from high school. We saw him. I mean, when you look at it, Chris Taylor, who he ran in the 200 semis today, Chris Taylor was the senior to Oblique Civilian School. They were on the same 4x1 at Penn. We saw Oblique's story. We saw the injuries. We saw the growth. When I say growth, I mean not just his growth in the sport, but literally his physical growth. We saw Oblique. I mean, we love Kishane. Kishane came up in the last 2 years, and we love him. But Oblique is different for many of us because we grew with Oblique. We saw him. We saw this young man doing what he was doing. He was touted as the next great one. You see, both spoke about him. So there's a different connection with our athletes, and I mean, even the athletes know that. They come here. People, talk about them. They're like everything to us, So and that is true. Jamaicans are naturally competitive. We are the most competitive set of people you'll ever meet on the earth.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a thing where we say in Jamaica, nobody no better than we. So we're like, we do our best to be the best at everything. And I mean, again, it's the same thing with Tina Clayton. We grew up, we saw Tina Clayton grow up in front of our eyes, from the little girl at Champs to now being a world silver medalist. We grew with Shelly. Like Shelly is a few years older than me. Well, a couple years older than me. And when Shelley was at the Olympics, we went through the whole process of Jamaicans saying, put Veronica in and leave Shelley out. And Shelley grew with many of us. There's an entire generation of people in their 30s and 40s who would have seen Shelley from the ground up. So it's a different thing for us, man. That's why
Yeah.
we love our athletes so much.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, I don't get mad at it. I understand it for what it is. It's just, here, I mean, we have the way sports works for us is between when you have your sports talk TV, which is now a very big deal. When on my channel, what I do is I bring the same energy that they bring to the other sports. I just try to bring that to track.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to do. Just talk about these races like they actually matter. And you know, considering America doesn't even know there's a world championship going on. You see what I'm saying? Like, if that's where we're starting the negotiations, you can see why, to me, it can't all be about the world championship, because for us, we'll never get there because we've already proven in this nation they don't care. So we got to figure out how to make these other races matter.
Right.
Because
I mean,
if you win gold at the Olympics matters, but it's like it matters for a moment and then it's gone. Like, it evaporates.
I
So,
said it the other day. Imagine if Sid was Jamaican. Sid couldn't walk in Jamaica.
oh
Like,
yeah, like
she,
she did a lot of. I mean, she's a big deal in America. Don't get me wrong,
mm,
but she can still go around without a bodyguard, like,
right.
because she has a husband. So her and her husband can go places, and somebody will recognize her, but most people won't. You get what I'm saying? Like, Like if that's where she's starting the negotiation. So imagine if you're not her, not Noah, not Sha'Carri, like you're just people. You know,
Right.
like you're just regular folks. So it's a very unique state. But again, I truly love the Jamaican fans. Hope to come visit Champs one day soon. And
I
kind of
mean,
experience.
you have your tour guide right here. I mean, I'm probably the ultimate champs man. And you see that environment, that energy. I mean, y'all think the Olympics is hard? No, when you experience champs, you understand why the athletes are so good at the Olympics. Because the Olympics ain't nothing compared to champs. Like people fight over champs. Like that's what it is. Just like how you guys have the Michigan State versus Michigan rivalry, and
Yeah.
that's what champs is. Like that's what it is. It's bragging rights for a year. So, I mean, coach, I'm glad you could be able to come back again. You probably might end up being our most asked for guest because you were asked for. That's because I mean, when the champs was going on, people were like, "You need to get coach up. You need to get the coach up. You need to get coach up." But I know you're a busy man, and you gave me the time today. You
And
know,
I appreciate it. Truly a pleasure. Shout out to everyone who's on the other side of the camera. And I'm gonna do my best to still continue to call it like I see it, with respect to Jamaica.
I mean, just being you, that's fine. I mean, we like some of the heat sometimes. It's fun, you know.
So the oblique proved me wrong. So for that, I mean, hey, all it takes is one race to rewrite a narrative, and he is
You know what's
evidence.
funny? You know what's funny? And I'm gonna say this to the people who are viewing. When Oblique won, the first person I messaged was Coach. Right here. Like the first person I messaged was like, "My boy did it," and he was graceful. He was graceful. He accepted it. He was like, "Yeah." But he was the first person I messaged. I was like, "Coach," because I looked for everybody who told me Oblique wasn't going to win, and because of that, coach has mellowed his stance on Brian Lavelle a bit, you know. So
Yeah, well, he's shown, but the thing is, he's Brian Lavelle again. His semifinal. I wanted to see how the semifinal looked because the
right,
Heat was one thing. The semifinal, it's like, okay, at this point we know what form you're in, and now it's like, okay, because the semifinals, once you get through there, it's like, all right, we know what you're working with. So
right.
now it's time for us to, like actually, get the knives out and and like go to work, like take care of business because we know who doesn't have it going to this final. Some of these people were just trying to get in. They were just trying to get in.
That is true. But I mean, we'll be there. We will. I mean, people had never had Obdi beating Kishin. I've been on many shows and saying Obdi will be winning. So on every show I've been except for tonight, I've my tag has been Mr. Right. So Mr. Right. But yeah, here it is. Says Jamaican Delight says we like you, Coach Rob, but in the heat of competition, we pause for a while. So you are
yeah,
loved by you're loved
yeah,
by the Jamaican fans. We love
yeah,
you here.
I respect it. But hey, again, blessings to you and everybody on that side. And
Yeah,
tomorrow we'll see how it all shakes out.
yeah, we would definitely will. I mean, if Brian Lavelle wins, you'll be getting a message from me immediately. Um, but yeah, you when we asked, when we were doing our guests, I mean, your name came up, because of the amount of fans that you have here. People have been saying, you need to get Coach Rob, you need to get Coach Rob, and you came. I asked, you were like, sure, fine, just work my schedule, and you came, and you've developed a fan base even more since then. You know,
Hey,
you've
well, I
gotten a bigger
appreciate it.
fan base, and they love you. And I ensure that I tell everybody to go and subscribe to your channels because your take is phenomenal. I've always said the things you say, I agree a lot with it. You are one of the pundits that we give a lot of credit to in Jamaica because Jamaicans not usually to take up the American them, to like them more wild. But when it comes down to it, you have gained your respect here in Jamaica. So thank you so much. And thank you for being here. You said you were going to give us an hour. You gave us an hour an hour and 37 minutes. Um, so we appreciate it, guys. So
Right.
I will be back here after the Worlds because unfortunately, I can't do a show every night, but I'll definitely be here Sunday evening to talk about it. Hey, I might call Coach again if he's free. and see what happens. But thank you guys all for showing up, for being here, for watching, for commenting, um, for everything. You're being told that you better come to champs, right? So they're saying you better come to champs. So when coach is here, we have the people to ensure that you're good. So again,
Okay,
thank you
cool.
again,
So I
coach.
appreciate it. Hey, and thank you again. Truly a pleasure. And when the dust settles, you know, we will talk again
Definitely,
because
definitely.
hindsight is always 2020.
Right. And because I wear glasses, I think I have that beforehand. So that's why my predictions are right. So
All
so
right.
again, thanks guys, thanks coach. Much big up as we'd say in Jamaica. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff. You see it on the screen on the bottom. All right, and continue to build the community. Coach Rob, much respect as we say in Jamaica. Much love. Thank you so
You
much for being here.
likewise. You likewise. All right.
And we'll see y'all again.